Okay, we are going to start or continue chapter number 3, and we are discussing RTT estimation, TCP flow control. While discussing TCP flow control, we will have to revisit the TCP segment structure header. So, as we know that in the TCP, when a packet is transmitted, its timeout is set. If within this timeout the acknowledgement is not received, then it is assumed that the packet or its acknowledgement is lost. So that packet is retransmitted. If within this timeout the acknowledgement is received, then the timeout is stopped. Okay. So we are going to discuss that what is the relationship of timeout and round trip time. Round trip time is also called RTT. Okay, so we are going to discuss the relationship between timeout and RTT through an example. RTT means round trip time. So suppose that we are assuming a sender and receiver. So suppose that the sender sends packet number 0, okay, and the sender, when transmit the packet number 0, sender sets its timeout value. Suppose the timeout is set to 20 seconds. It means that packet 0 will wait for 20 seconds. So when the packet 0 is transmitted, so it takes time to move from sender to receiver. And when receiver receives the packet 0, it sends acknowledgement. Again, this also takes time. So this time is called RTT, round trip time. RTT means the time when packet is transmitted to the time when its acknowledgement is received. This time, this duration, it is called RTT. Okay, so suppose this RTT, it is 5 seconds, and we sets the timeout to 20 seconds. So it means that the timeout is greater than RTT. So when packet 0 is transmitted and its acknowledgement is received within 5 seconds, so it means that packet 0 is delivered correctly. So the time out of the packet 0 is running, it will be stopped. Okay, why it will be stopped? Because it is delivered successfully. So now the sender is sending next packet. So the sender sends the packet number 1. Again, when sender transmit packet number 1, its timeout will be set. So you can see that the timeout is set to 20 seconds. It is set to 20 seconds. And the actual RTT, the time that packet 1 takes to move from sender to receiver, and the acknowledgement back moves, it is 5 seconds. The RTT is 5 seconds. So okay, so suppose this acknowledgement 1 is lost, but here packet 1 is waiting for acknowledgement. So the timeout will expire. And when the timeout will expire? After 20 seconds. So you can see that in this case, if the timeout is set to RTT, if the timeout is equal to RTT, then after 5 seconds the timeout will expire for packet 1, and packet 1 will retransmit packet number 1. However, the timeout value in this case, it is set to 20 seconds, and it is very longer than RTT. So that's why here it is waiting for 20 seconds. Okay, so it means that if the timeout value is greater than RTT, then and the packet is sent successfully, its acknowledgement is received successfully, then there is no problem. But if the packet is transmitted and its acknowledgement is lost, then there is a problem. Why? Because it will wait for 15 second extra time. Here in this case it is waiting for 15 second extra. Why? Because the RTT is 5 seconds. So if this timeout was 5 seconds, then after 5 seconds the packet 1 will be retransmitted. Since the timeout is very long, it is 20 seconds, so it is waiting extra for 15 seconds. Okay, for 15 seconds. So if the timeout value is greater than RTT, then this cause extra longer waiting time for a packet if its acknowledgement or its packet 1 is expired. Okay, so it means that in this case, if the timeout is 20 seconds, so after 20 seconds packet 1 will be retransmitted. When it is retransmitted, it is received, so it means that the receiver will detect through sequence number that this packet is duplicate. It will discard. By discarding mean it will not deliver this packet to application layer, and it will send the acknowledgement. And we have discussed that whether the packet is received for first time or it is received duplicate, in either case the receiver will send acknowledgement. Okay, so this is the disadvantage. If the timeout is greater than RTT and the packet is lost, then we wait for extra time, longer time, and this increase end-to-end delay. Okay, now we are going to discuss another example. Okay, suppose this is the sender and this is the receiver. Sender sends packet number 0, it is received correctly, and the receiver sends the acknowledgement. Okay, suppose this RTT, so it is received within the timeout value, and this RTT is suppose 13 seconds. Okay, now suppose that sender sends the packet number 1 and it sets its timeout to 10 seconds. So in this case the timeout is less than RTT, because the actual RTT, suppose it is 13 seconds and the timeout is 10 seconds. So here the timeout value is less than RTT. So if the timeout is less than RTT, then what could be the problem? So we are discussing it. So if the timeout for the packet number 1, it is suppose 10 seconds and its RTT is 13 seconds. So the packet 1 is transmitted. Packet 1 will be received correctly by the receiver. Receiver sends acknowledgement. Now since this RTT is 13 seconds but the timeout is 10 seconds, so the timeout will expire before the acknowledgement it is arrived. So the timeout expire here before. So the timeout is expired, then the packet 1 is retransmitted. So the timeout expired and the packet 1 is retransmitted while its acknowledgement is on the way. While its acknowledgement is on way, it is moving, it is coming toward the sender, but the timeout is less than RTT, therefore the timeout will expire before. It will expire before. So the packet 1 is retransmitted. When the packet 1 is retransmitted, so after some time the acknowledgement 1 is received, and in this case you can know that this acknowledgement is not for this recent packet, but it is for the first time packet that is sent packet number 1. But this sender doesn't know, so the sender will assume that this acknowledgement is for the recent packet 1. So okay, so the timeout of this packet will be stopped, and the sender assumes that this recent packet 1 is received correctly. So the sender sends the next packet, that's a packet number 0. Okay, so the timeout is less, then this problem happens. And furthermore, when packet 1 is retransmitted, it is received duplicate. Why? The receiver through sequence number identify that this packet 1 is already received, so it is duplicate, so it will be discarded. By discarding means that it will not be delivered to the application. However, the receiver sends the acknowledgement. Okay, so in this case, when the first time acknowledgement is received, the sender assumes that this is the acknowledgement for this recent packet 1. So the timeout of the recent packet 1 is stopped, and next packet number 0 is sent. When acknowledgement 1 is received again, and this acknowledgement 1, it is for this recent packet. Okay, so here when this acknowledgement 1 is received, so this is the duplicate acknowledgement. And in the go back in approach, we assume that when the duplicate acknowledgement is received, so it means that this last packet is lost. Last packet it is lost. This is lost. So it means that this packet should be sent again. packet 0 should be sent. Again, this duplicate acknowledgement, it is the negative acknowledgement for packet number 0. So this packet 0 is retransmitted. So you can see that when timeout is less than RTT, we have premature timeout, that the timeout is expired before its acknowledgement is received. And further, what it causes, it will lead to packet number 1, it is extra transmitted, it is redundant transmission, and packet 0 is also redundant transmission. You can see it. Okay, so this lead to redundant. So what does it mean? If timeout is greater than RTT, then this problem happens. We wait for extra time in case of packet loss or acknowledgement loss. And if the timeout is less than RTT, then we have premature timeout, we have extra transmission. Okay, so how to set the TCP timeout value? If it is longer than RTT, then it causes too long, it is slow reaction to segment loss. And if it is too short, then it causes premature timeout and it leads to unnecessary retransmission, extra retransmission. Okay, so now we have discussed it. Okay, so now we are discussing that how should we compute the RTT, how should we set, we should compute the RTT, because the timeout, it should be equal to RTT. Now how to compute RTT? Why? Let's discuss this through an example. Okay, so we compute the RTT in two ways. I would like to explain it. This is the first way that we compute RTT, and when we compute RTT, then we set the timeout value based on RTT. Okay, so that the timeout is equal to RTT, so that if the timeout is equal to RTT, then if timeout is equal to RTT, then we will not have this premature timeout and we will not have a slow reaction in term of when the segment is lost. Okay, so how to compute the RTT? This is the example. So in this example, we show that the timeout, it should be equal to RTT, but how to compute the RTT? Okay, so let's discuss it. One approach that could be that, suppose we send packet number 0, it is transmitted, and packet 0 is received correctly, its acknowledgement is sent. We compute its RTT. This will become sample RTT. This will become sample RTT. And what does it, sample RTT? Suppose for packet 0, sample RTT is 8 seconds. It means that packet 0 takes 8 seconds to move from sender to receiver, and acknowledgement 0 moves back from receiver to sender. So it takes, suppose this RTT, it takes 8 seconds. So this will become sample RTT, 8 seconds. So when we transmit this next packet, then the previous packet sample RTT, it will becomes the time out for the next packet. So this previous packet is packet number 0 and its sample RTT is 8 seconds. So 8 seconds it will becomes the time out value for packet number 1. Now packet number 1 is transmitted. Again its sample RTT will be computed. Okay, so sample RTT, how it is computed? When packet 1 is transmitted, its time stamp is noted. When acknowledgement is received, its time stamp is noted. This timestamp, it is subtracted from this timestamp, then this will give this RTT for packet number 1, and this will become sample RTT. So now the senders transmit the next packet, packet number 2. So the previous packet sample RTT, it will becomes the time out value for the next packet. Okay, so this so packet 2 is transmitted, its time out value will be set to 5 seconds. Okay, suppose this packet is lost, so this packet 2 is retransmitted. Again packet 2 is retransmitted and its sample RTT is noted. Suppose it is 15 seconds. Suppose now packet 3 is transmitted, so the packet 3 transmission time will be 5 seconds. Why? This sample RTT will not be counted. Why? Because it is for the recent packet. Okay, so we only count the sample RTT for the last packet that is transmitted for the first time and it is received. The packet that is recent, that is retransmitted, its sample RTT is not counted. Okay, so this is one approach. This is the one approach that we use sample RTT to measure the timeout value. So we compute the sample RTT for each packet, and when we transmit a packet, so in the last packet sample RTT, it becomes the timeout value for the next packet. But we ignore retransmission. What does it mean? That we ignore the sample RTT of a packet that is retransmitted. Okay, so we only consider the sample RTT for the last packet that is transmitted for the first time and it is received correctly. Okay, in this case it is packet number 1, because packet number 2 is recent, so it is retransmitted, so its sample RTT will not be counted. So again we are explaining this through another example. Sender is sending packet number 0. Suppose it's initially sets timeout to 10 seconds. Packet number 0 is transmitted, its acknowledgement is received, then its sample RTT is measured. Okay, suppose it is 8 seconds, so this sample RTT will becomes the timeout value for the next packet. So it is sample RTT is 8 seconds, so packet 1 will have timeout value 8 seconds. Now packet 1 is transmitted, its acknowledgement is received, its sample RTT will be measured, it is computed, so it is 5 seconds. So the packet 2, its timeout value will be set to 5 seconds. Now packet 2 is transmitted, and suppose its acknowledgement delayed, so the timeout expired before. So when packet 2 is retransmitted and its acknowledgement 2 arrives, this acknowledgement is not for the recent packet 2, but it is for the packet 2 that was transmitted for the first time. Okay, so in this case the sender doesn't know, so the sender will assume that this acknowledgement for the recent packet. Okay, so it will compute our sample RTT, but this sample RTT will not be counted. Why? Because this is for the retransmitted packet. So the packet 3, its timeout will be set to the last packet that is transmitted for the first time. So this packet is the last packet, but this is the recent, so it will not be counted, and here the timeout is expired, so this packet will be counted, and here the sample RTT is 5 seconds, so packet 3 will have 5 second timeout value. Okay, now we have discussed that the sample RTT it vary. The sample RTT it varies. Vary means it change. You can note that here sample RTT is 8 seconds, then 5 seconds, then 6 seconds, then 6 seconds. Why? Because 5 is timeout, and after 1 second the acknowledgement is received, so it means 5 plus 1, it is taking 6 seconds. So there is change. Okay, so this change it basically led to there is change. So what does it mean? Okay, so how to accommodate these changes, how to accommodate this variation. Okay, so how to accommodate this variation? Okay, basically let me explain this variation in the sample RTT through an example, an analogy. If let me ask one of the student among your class that what is his CGPA. Suppose Asad, and Asad tells me that his CGPA is 3.99 out of 4. Oh, I can say that this class is very intelligent, hardworking students. But if I ask another student, suppose Ibrahim, and his CGPA is 1.9 out of 4, oh, I can say that this class is very, very poor. Okay, but if I ask that what is the average CGPA in the class, so the average CGPA is 3.5, they can say, oh, the students are good. So is the individual CGPA, it doesn't reflect the whole class. Similarly, and the average CGPA, it represents the whole class more accurately. So similarly, this sample RTT, it doesn't reflect the whole packets. It doesn't reflect the RTT of all packets. Okay, so therefore we should take the average sample RTT, because the average value is the average CGPA of the class. It represents the whole class. Similarly, the average sample RTT, it will represents this whole class. So the average sample RTT, it will avoid this problem, this variation. So suppose we explain this through an example. So suppose sender sends the packet number 0 and its timeout is initially set to 10 seconds. Okay, packet 0 is transmitted, its acknowledgement is received, its sample RTT its RTT is measured, it is computed. Suppose sample RTT for packet number 0 is 8 seconds. Okay, so in this case the average sample RTT will be 8 plus 10, divided by 2, so it is equal to 9. So if the average sample RTT is taken, then the timeout will be 9. But if the sample RTT is taken, then its timeout value will be 8 seconds. Suppose we take that sample RTT. So its timeout value for the next packet will be the sample RTT of the last packet. So the last packet is packet number 0 and its sample RTT is 8 seconds. So this will becomes the timeout value for the packet number 1. Packet number 1 is transmitted, its acknowledgement is received, and its sample RTT is computed. Suppose it is 5 seconds. So again you can see the average sample RTT for last timeout value, it is 8 plus 10 plus 5 plus 5 plus 8 plus 10 divided by 3. So the average sample RTT is 7.6 seconds. So if we take the average sample RTT, then the timeout value should be 7.6, but we are taking sample RTT, then its value will be 5 seconds. Okay, because sample RTT is 5 seconds. So you can see that if we take the sample RTT, then there is premature timeout. But if this timeout was considered as average sample RTT and it is 7.6, then this problem will not happen. So in this case, the average sample RTT, it more accurately represents the value. So you have already studied in the statistic course that average value, it represents the whole population more accurately than the individual value. So similar, the same concept is applied in the estimating RTT. Okay, so now we are going to discuss that if we take the average sample RTT, then this problem is avoided. If we take the average sample RTT, then this problem is avoided. How it is avoided? Let's discuss it through an example. Suppose we have transmitted packet number 0. Okay, its timeout is 10 seconds. Okay, so we are, and suppose packet 0 is transmitted, its timeout is set to 10 seconds. Suppose it is transmitted, its acknowledgement is received, sample RTT will be measured. Now the average sample RTT will becomes 8 plus 10 divided by 2, it is equal to 9. So this 9 average value, it will becomes the timeout for the next packet. Next packet is transmitted, its acknowledgement is received. Suppose its RTT is 5 seconds. So the average value will become 5 plus 8 plus 10. 5 plus 8 plus 10 divided by 3. So average value becomes 7.6. So this average value will become the timeout value for the next packet number 2. So its timeout value becomes 7.6. If packet number 2 is sent, it is received acknowledgement in 6 seconds. Okay, so if you take sample RTT, then there will be premature out. But if you take average value, then it accommodates the abrupt changes from 8 to 5 and 5 to 6. These changes are these changes are accommodated by average value, and this average value, it more accurately represents these RTT values. Okay, so there is no retransmission, there is no premature timeout. Okay, but again you should know that we retransmission not taken for RTT estimation. Okay, so in this case, as we have explained, that if this packet 2 is resent and sample RTT is taken, then we don't take the sample RTT of the resent packet in estimating or in averaging the sample RTT. Okay, so furthermore, if you have studied the statistic course, so the average value, it also represents the sample population more accurately, but the deviation and the variance, it also help us to more accurately represents the population. So therefore in the TCP we use this formula to compute the variation. Okay, and after the variation, the standard deviation of RTT is computed by using this formula. Then the standard deviation is put in this formula, and the timeout of interval is output. So this estimated RTT, it is the previous estimated RTT based on average and standard deviation, and the this formula is used. Okay, so this is how the TCP computes the estimated RTT, and then based on estimated RTT the timeout value is set. Okay, so this is an example to show that you can see that, for example, in this figure they have taken, this is the sender and this is the receiver. So they sends the packet and they computes the RTT, the sample RTT. So you can see in the blue line that these are the sample RTT. So there is very abrupt changes. Sometimes it is very high, sometimes it is very low. But in the estimated RTT there is less changes. The changes are less. It is smoother. It is smoother. Okay, so it basically accommodates these abrupt changes more accurately. Okay, so we have discussed the estimated RTT, then we will discuss the flow control. Okay.